Today, America honors her soldiers dead. In 1,000 places all over that land and overseas, Americans gather on hallowed ground to pay tribute to their memory. The people of the Philippines participate in the ceremonies held in this country because these dead are as much the heroes of this republic as they are of the United States. The soldiers who fought and died at Lexington and Concord, at Valley Forge and Appomattox, at the Argonne and Bellevue Woods, at Midway and the Coral Sea, at Leyte Gulf and Carigara, at Lingayen and Manila, at Bataan and Corregidor, in order that the people of America might enjoy the freedoms and liberties that they cherish, have served our nation as much as their own. For the Philippines is free because America is free. The world at large is indebted to these heroes of peace and justice for all mankind. To those who died on Philippine soil, first to defend our nation against treacherous aggression, and later to liberate our land from the clutches of a cruel foe, the Filipino people are particularly indebted. We shall never forget them. We shall treasure their memory as an eloquent expression of the love of America for our people and of the community of ideals which bind our two nations and inspire the youth of both to battle side by side and die in the same trenches under the shadow of our two flags. On a day like this, however, while we recall particular individuals who were our friends or who fell around us in the same rank, our minds irresistibly grasp at a broader view of the events that brought about their heroic sacrifice. We ponder the significance of the conflict in which they were engaged and the cause for which they fought. They gave their lives that other nations might share the blessings of freedom and democracy, of justice and peace, of equal opportunity for all, which we treasure. In the last two world wars, we fought, Americans and Filipinos, to preserve those blessings, not only for ourselves, but for all the peoples of the earth. The cause was noble, heroic. It was predicated on the assumption that all men of all races and creeds were born of a common humanity and entitled to the same freedoms and happiness that we want for ourselves. They were attempts to resist brutal aggressions by evil forces that enthrone might rather than justice in the realm of international affairs. In these two conflicts, the free-loving peoples of the world joined hands to defeat the forces of evil, which practiced the laws of the jungle to annihilate weak and defenseless neighbors. Our aim in those two wars was not merely to vanquish and punish the aggressors, but also to establish a world order that would ensure permanent peace under a regime of equality and justice for all peoples and the freedom of all men. We have won both wars. The enemy has been crushed. We pay tribute to the memory of our dead heroes who died in the fields of battle or in prison camps. We have counted the lives and the wealth lost in the fight. We are going through the painful crisis, which is the aftermath of all war, to adjust our lives to peace conditions while we pay the cost of the war. But what of the causes for which we fought? What of the goals we set out to accomplish? What of the aims we were determined to achieve? Have we succeeded in ensuring the world against another catastrophe? Are we taking steps to forestall another savage aggression that will convert the whole earth into another Armageddon? Are we laying the foundations for the creation of the social and economic conditions for all mankind, which alone can prevent the repetition of the tragedy which we have just passed? To these questions, I cannot, in good conscience, give an affirmative answer, unless we are able to do so truthfully. We will have to recognize the futility of the sacrifice of the lives of the men whom we honor today. For our failure, we shall answer not only to them, but also to our children. Thus far, we have failed. The United Nations organization is still an infant that has to be carefully nurtured into strength and power. There is not much difference between the attitude of governments today and their attitude of yesterday. With few exceptions, this attitude is still inspired by selfishness and greed. Our world still seems like a monumental sphere of many active and reactive components. Internal tension in each part is mighty. The surface tension of the whole is but precariously adjusted to the sum total of the various parts. The tensions accumulate. The conflicting dynamic forces threaten inevitable addition to an explosive total. Disaster, chaos, and war are fears present in the hearts of thoughtful men. This concept is no idle flight of fancy. It is real and true. Most of the leaders of the world know it in their minds, as most of the people of the world know in their hearts. Listen and hear the rattle of sabers, the same old war cries that have frightened and aroused mankind for centuries. Headlines recount ultimatums, weigh the military power of one nation or group of nations against another, talk of military alliances and of spheres of influence. Humanity at large is asking questions. The leaders of the world cannot give them reassuring answers. But there is one thing that everyone knows, and knows it with the certainty of death and suffering. It is this: there can be no piecemeal settlement of war problems. The world cannot live in peace, half slave and half free. The world cannot enjoy permanent peace with half its population living in starvation and misery and the other half in abundance and opulence. We also know that our world has shrunk into a small sphere in which all peoples are neighbors. We can no longer quarantine war. Disaster at one latitude surges into another as surely as an atmospheric depression in Guam affects climatic conditions over every sea and land, touching every clime in its sweep and lateralizing its effects over all the earth. All the peoples of the world, not merely their governments, must take interest and participate actively in the formulation and execution of formulas as may be devised for the achievement of an enduring peace and prosperity for all mankind. This can only be attained under the aegis of freedom and well-being for all people, This is an imperative which must be recognized. In vain shall a statesman of the world persist in closing their eyes to that requirement. The last war consumed in 4 flaming years the wealth and substance of generations of mankind's toil and sacrifice. Where is the profit to any nation in such a struggle? What are the material advantages that has accrued to the victors which they can long enjoy without sharing them with the vanquished? Who can now recover for the enjoyment of men the billions of tons of the world's resources wasted, lost and dispersed, consumed in the fires of war? What nation benefited? What people benefited from that tragedy? I think we know now beyond question that the people of one nation cannot long enjoy happiness while the shadow of misery hangs heavily over other parts of the earth. We must recognize the indivisibility of prosperity as well as of peace. Prestige and power, wielded by any nation, must be used to ensure not only peace but plenty for all mankind. To assist in the orderly and progressive development of the world's resources and in the promotion of the health, security, and freedom of all men of all nations. If the world does not move surely and passionately in this direction, if we do not strive for the highest peak of plenty for all people, we will find ourselves wandering off again into the destructive morass of another war. I do not know whether civilization can emerge from another such diversion. The freedom-loving peoples of the world must organize a battle for peace and prosperity just as they have organized their world's forces for war. In every nation of the earth, there are solid phalanxes of men and women who cry out for leadership, who implore guidance on the road to peace, freedom, and well-being. These men and women have willing hands and anxious hearts. They pray for an end to confusion and conflict, an end to fear and want. They are eager to work and organize a world order that will ensure peace, freedom, and prosperity for all people. They are waiting to be shown the road to a dynamic peace. It is only the United States of America that can lead them. The common masses of men in every land have faith in her. 1 billion prayers ride upon her inspired leadership. It is an historic mission, a holy crusade, a challenge to achieve a people's peace. She cannot shirk that responsibility. She will not fail if she dares to assume it, for God will be on her side.